always has ready on the table with his half glass of beer at 5:45. After she serves something warm and British, George doesn't believe in any seasoning other than salt and lots of it, always sprinkling some liberally before checking the dish needs it. Ellen does the washing up, dries the dishes, then lays the tea towel over the tea towel holder he made for her 30 years before. She snaps the cloth out before she hangs it, 3 times quickly, then once again. It will dry in the slow breeze that comes from the back door, which they always leave ajar for this reason. It will be ready to polish the plates after the boiled egg, and marmalade on toast they will have for breakfast the next morning at 7:30. It will be washed that afternoon and hung on a line, which George put up 5 years earlier, after the first one collapsed in a storm. George was cross about this. He'd planned for that washing line to see him out. The tea towel will hang alongside the sheets, towels and George's white underpants, which Ellen washes on Thursdays. On Wednesdays, Ellen leaves for her 6 o'clock book club at 5:54, because it's at Sue's house, only 3 doors down. Sometimes they hold it at Barbara's house, 10 doors down, and then Ellen leaves at 5:50. They never hold it at George and Ellen's house, because George hates Ellen's loud, opinionated friends, and he hates books even more. He also hates the nibbles Ellen makes that he's not allowed to eat because of his cholesterol. George doesn't believe in cholesterol, global warming, or baseball caps. Ellen's book club finishes at 7. George sits in his chair and his stomach hurts, and now it's 7:18, and Ellen still isn't home. Sometimes George stands at the bay window and watches her walk back towards him, sees her stop to say hello to next door's cat, which George wants to shoot because it shits on his shingle. Today, he doesn't go to the bay window to watch Ellen walk back to him, because Ellen won't be walking back. Ellen died 8 days ago. Her book club book is on the walnut side table next to the beige sofa. George made her that table. Dovetail joints she'd cooed over. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. George hates this book most of all, and the fact that Ellen was often reading it instead of cooking his dinner. And now she's dead, and there's no one to look after him. The clock ticks. The early spring evening sky tie-dyes itself yellow, orange and red. George ignores the glorious sun setting outside the window and continues to stare at the dining table, where his dinner won't appear. Finally, he gets up and slow shuffles to the kitchen. Before the funeral, he'd been living off the Tupperware boxes that were placed quietly on his doorstep by neighbours who couldn't stand him but loved his wife. George had watched them tiptoeing up the path, then scurrying back down it before he could get to the door, as if he'd thanked them. He'd eaten the soggy stews in his pants and vest, flicking out bits of broccoli along with anything pink and suspicious. He'd washed down claggy mashed potato and thick gravy skin with gulps of water from the tap, cupping the liquid in his hands after he realised he couldn't fit his head under it. He soaked the front of his vest, his sagging brown nipples visible. He didn't care. At the funeral, Barbara from the fucking church and the fucking book club had plied him with 2 curled-up egg and cress sandwiches. He had put them into his mouth to stop himself telling Barbara how much he disliked her, and what she could do with her patronising smiles and arm pats. God works in mysterious ways, she had told him. God could fuck off, as far as George was concerned, and he let Barbara know as much once he'd swallowed the second sandwich. George thinks perhaps he should eat something now. It might make him feel better. He's at the age where his diabetes is controlled with tablets, but the threat of injections looms. He knows he needs to sort out his blood sugar, although he doesn't know what blood sugar is because he doesn't listen at the doctor's appointments. That's Ellen's job.